All right, so here we are, second ever. First, it's technically our first, but it's really our second. The first episode is our origin story. This is the real meat and potatoes. We're getting into it. Issue number one of the Hops Geek News with myself, Mash, and with me, as always, is the Hobby Mommy.
Hey everybody, how you doing tonight? So I just popped open an Imperial Dank Star. I feel like we always got to start with what we're drinking.
So
And
jealous.
this is a super sweet can, and it's an amazing beer too. And I didn't realize until after I opened one at the beach earlier. It's 11%, but it's good.
Doing
It's
it
very
live.
good. I
So fun.
know.
Like,
Well,
here we are again, 11%. Like this one, I'm drinking just like a 7%er. I popped open a Meowthra IPA because I love Godzilla. I gotta say Edge. This one's from Edge, and they do like really. As I throw the empty can across, it's actually some of the dope. They have a lot of good can art. I guess they're big Godzilla fans because they have like the Pugzilla IPA, which is basically a pug, but it's Godzilla, and I don't know. It tastes like really, really kind of hoppy, but it's really refreshing as at the same time.
yeah, yeah. This one you can see it's kind of thick, but honestly, like it does not taste like an 11%er at all. It's so smooth. It's from Civil Society. They're in Jupiter, Florida. It's kind of by like West Palm.
Yeah.
And I mean, woof, everything they do is just all their IPAs. I've really only had their IPAs, but that seems to be the bulk of what they do. And these high ABVs, I feel like anytime it used to be like an 11%, it would like punch you in the face with hops, and now it's just so
Yeah.
smooth.
Like
I'm not
that's what I would
complaining.
notice too, is a few years ago or whatever, when I would drink something that's like 13% or 11%, you taste mostly it's just either the alcohol or it's so hoppy, you're just like, oh my God, I've been punched in the face. I can't do that. But nowadays, I popped
Yeah.
up. It was the other day, I think I popped open like a 9-10%er, and it was probably one of the smoother IPAs that I've had in a while. I can't remember what the one it was now, but it was wicked good and smooth and refreshing. I'm just like, did we finally figure out the science behind not making it so it's so heavy and punching me in the mouth?
Right. Yeah, they used to be like arrogant bastard with 100 IBUs, and now they don't even have super high IBUs, but they're just so good.
Yeah, this one 75 IBUs, so I mean it's pretty dank as the kids say these days. Citrusy dank, man. That's what it says on the can.
Well,
But
this one's called Dank Star, but I don't get that super dank because to me, I don't look for dank beers.
I
But
don't
this
either.
doesn't seem like over the top dank. Like
Yeah,
my friend
dank
Ian's
is
watching, he's probably ready to punch the screen. He
drink
hates
every
the
time you
word
say the
dank.
word dank. How many times can we
Right.
go to this episode? It's pretty dank.
He also hates live my best life. So I'm living my best life drinking this dank beer, Ian.
Well, I
This
just think
one's
it's pretty
pretty.
dank that you're living your best life because I'm over here doing the same. This one's actually pretty golden for like a 7% like IPA too. It's pretty gold. It almost looks like an amber or something like that.
Was it like a West Coast? Because the West Coast tend to still be golden. We get so used to these like juice bombs, which I
Yes.
love. I'm on the haze train.
We got some Columbus, Centennial, and Simcoe hops up in this, and then they use two row grain, Vienna, and C10. So yeah, I guess more of the West Coasty type. There's not a whole lot of places that do the New England IPA. I just picked some up from Western Collective today, and they did a New England IPA with lactose in it. So I'm pretty excited to open that one up.
Mm.
I got another beer I'll probably end up popping open before this is over, just because I'm in a drinking mood today from Iowa. I've never had any from Iowa, but I'll probably pop that open. I got like one of those 16-ounce growlers or whatever my friend brought me back. Some kind of, I don't, it doesn't even
Right.
have a tag, so I honestly couldn't tell you what's in there. I know I got like a sour and something else, but I'm gonna do a blind taste testing
Yeah,
and hope it just
it's like
isn't.
a blind bag. Nice.
So yeah,
All
you
right, so
oh, I'm sorry.
I think we're about to ask each other the same question.
What
Have you
have you
watched anything in the realm of Hops Geeks news this week?
So I've been watching Doom Patrol lately. A lot of Doom Patrol. And it kind of prompted me. I just was like, hey, Doom Patrol, I heard it's wicked good. Titans I heard was good as far as the DC, whatever they're doing, DC TV, but now it's all under ADT, HBO Max. So we've been watching that, and it's pretty good. It's kind of more adulty, like The Boys. So that obviously you got
Mhm.
Brendan Fraser, who even knew he was still kind of alive. I know that guy had a tough go at
Right.
it for a while. But he's a little heftier, didn't age well, but you can't even tell because he's most of the time he's in that robot. So it's different. They're not out there just normally punching people in the face, things like that. It's more like character development, things like that. It's got some heavy undertones. It's a pretty good show. I'm
Right.
gonna on the season finale of season 1 right now, and I'll probably start season 2 since I know they're like 7 episodes deep or something like that. And I've even gotten the comics now too. So usually when I like start something, I'm like, you know what, we're diving in. Let's learn all about it. So that's kind of what I'm reading. What are you reading, watching, or anything like that?
Well, I actually, so I got HBO Max today to watch Doom Patrol because you had recommended it, and I can't get it on the damn TV. I can watch it on my phone, but I can't seem to get it on the TV. So I tried mirroring, it wasn't working. You can't download HBO Max on the TV. I did it through Hulu and free trial. I don't know what the hell's going on, but I'm gonna end up watching this thing on an iPad.
Like,
Do you have actual cable?
I have actual cable, and before I get sued, disclaimer: I'm not watching it on HBO Max. I may be watching it on a different app that I have on my TV that may have been downloaded third party.
Gotcha.
It's totally one of those legal. I'm sharing my friend's account, and so I'm watching it there. But I have it on my TV. I can't watch it on my phone, which is kind of the opposite problem, but. It's not one of those that you need to watch on the big screen. It's just, hey, this is one. It's kind of like, I guess, a mix between Umbrella Academy and The Boys. But The Boys, obviously, you have like the bad, the bad superheroes that they make. Whereas Umbrella Academy, they're just like abandoned misfits that fuck up all the time, and that's kind of what the Doom Patrol is.
Okay.
So, it's good. It might take a couple episodes, but for me, I mean, I was kind of hooked right off the bat. It was pretty good. I know you were watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too, right?
For live Hulu this week. Yeah, they're doing amazing. There's only less than a handful of episodes left total. I think it's only maybe got 2 or 3 episodes left, and then the series is over. But yeah, that's been great this season. They've done some time travel. There was a reference to Loki this past episode, so I like hit my daughter. I was like, "Did you get that? Did you get that? Did you realize what just happened?"
See what they just did?
Yeah. So as not to be, I guess if you haven't seen it yet, you don't want any spoilers. Cover your ears and count to 10. But the one guy goes, "I've seen the future. I saw you die, Coulson. Some guy with long hair stabbed you with a pointy stick." I'm like, he's talking about Loki. So that was fun.
I know who that is. I've seen it.
I get that reference. Right.
I haven't watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. yet because I watched the first season, and I know everybody's like, after the first season, it gets good. So I just have to sit down and maybe actually watch it. I still have to catch up on the last season of Flash, Arrow, Crisis, all those things. I just haven't sat down and actually watched them, I guess, because Arrow got bad. But I'm still a sucker for those crossovers. And especially like, hey, the callbacks. Like you just said, they mentioned Loki, even though not by name. I'm one of those that are like, oh my god, I gotta see this. I'm one of those suckers, so I'm all about that.
Yeah. No, the Crisis was really good, but I gave up on, I think I even mentioned this last time, I gave up on Supergirl. Arrow I just finished because it was a short season, but yeah, Arrow got really bad and then got better. But the Crisis is always good.
Yeah, Supergirl, for me, Supergirl just I can't do it. I don't know what it was. It wasn't even that it was a bad show necessarily. It just kind of got too stale for me, or I like cheesiness, but I don't know, something about it just kind of turned me off after season 1, season 2 kind of deal. Like I was stoked when they brought in old dude there to be Superman. You're like, yeah, Superman, but then I was just kind of like, that's it. I'll watch it for like the crossover. That's all I want. It's just a crossover at that point. So.
And you can stay up to date with it. Like you don't get confused watching the crossover if you don't watch all of them.
Yeah.
Like they even, they brought in Batwoman and Black Lightning, and I haven't seen those shows either. And so, it wasn't confusing at all.
Black Lightning, I've only seen season 1. I recommend season 1 at the very least to Black Lightning.
Yeah. Okay. That one, I think I watched the first couple episodes, and then I just got kind of overwhelmed with all the shows and kind of just stopped watching it. But, when Felicity got like shot in the back or whatever, and she's in a wheelchair, and then all of a sudden
stood up out of the wheelchair.
I was like, "You gotta be kidding me!" And then she just leaves. I was like, "This is the dumbest shit ever."
Or lack thereof. You're being a real dick, Ollie. wait a second, you're not paralyzed. We're not going to talk about the fact that you're not paralyzed anymore.
Right.
Oh my
Talk
God, it's
about
like
the
must have
most
been.
dramatic exit ever.
She was literally talking to Dr. Akuza. She had to have been.
Oh God, that's terrible. For anybody who watched Thursday was a
Show.
July 30th happy hour that was a
It
disaster.
was a mess.
That reference was too.
It was a mess, but at the same time, it was like I enjoyed every second of it just because it was such a shit show that I'm here for it. The look on your face is like, oh God, please stop. I think even Jeremy at a point, yeah, for he was there like, yeah, this is okay, and then he was just like, fuck it, let's just roll with this now. And I was like, I literally thought he was gonna give my information at a point. I was like, I don't know how many beers he's talking about. He had beers before the show. He's drinking beers at the show. This guy might really give away my information. Please don't.
Oh, that was good times.
It was an episode, yes. So that is then. This is now. Speaking of what have we read, what have we watched? We recently read I Wolverine, which
Yes,
I
I
guess
gotta
it's.
say, not a
Yeah,
fan.
I wasn't either.
Which
So
okay.
we're on this. If anybody else watches this, I swear to God, sometimes we share a brain because we have the same thoughts. As we tend to try to say them at the same time. And I just have slight Asperger's, maybe. I don't know. I can't. I was
Self-diagnosed
Well,
Asperger's.
I tend to interrupt on accident. So yeah, I don't know if with this comic, I think you needed to watch or read. I'd rather previous comics. Like there's Iron Man 2020, and there's a couple others because I didn't really know who this character was. I was like, oh shit, it's Wolverine. Yeah, this is gonna be a good comic. And then
Mhm.
reading it, it was kind of like, I mean, it's not Wolverine. He's a robot. He's looking for this little girl who got blown up
Right.
as a robot too. And it's like, what is going on? They make reference to somebody else, but really they mention Logan. I think he's dead in this universe, which I'm fine with. But I honestly, what are your thoughts on it? I didn't like it personally.
Well, yeah, for anybody who is listening, it's I Wolverine. This is the first issue. It just came out. I Wolverine 2020. And yeah, I saw he looked kind of like a cyborg, so I figured he was like part machine, part Wolverine kind of
Yeah,
thing. Like maybe his healing factor wasn't working, but he seems to be complete machine. And so it's all the things you love about Wolvie are his human characteristics mixed with that berserker
yes,
animal rage. So I felt like making him 100% robot took away from that. And I'm also one of those, I actually quit watching Westworld because I just
God,
robots having emotions, I don't know, I can only handle it for so long because I feel like you're still being programmed. You're still being programmed. So he
right,
wasn't himself. And
yeah.
one of the things you love about Wolverine is he gets knocked down and gets back up again, not to start singing.
You're never gonna bring
Didn't
me
mean to-
down.
but like in this, he's not getting knocked down at all. He's just full like Terminator, just going at it.
Yeah, he just
So
went like no one could. They were shooting him in the back a bunch. Nothing happened, and then he was just like tearing people
right.
apart. Like, I'm all for the gore, the violence, and stuff like that, but I just felt like he was too overpowered. Nothing could hurt him if they're sending
Hmm.
people with guns after, and he's just ripping through people. If nothing can hurt him, kind of. I'm sure that's why it's only the first issue of that, and maybe we needed some backstory. So I'd be interested to kind of go back and maybe look at the backstory. But overall, it was just kind of something
Yeah.
I think there's something missing, and then like you said with Wolverine, you connect kind of to a human element with him because he has all those emotions, he has that rage, but at the same time he is still human. He just has adamantium, and he also just heals, whereas this guy, he's just a robot, but he cares about
Mhm.
this other robot child, weirdly enough. It did
Well,
fall flat.
maybe that's part of the programming of Wolverine tends to do that, like with Kitty Pryde, and you saw it in the movies with
Yeah,
Rogue. Like he tends to have like a soft spot for these like orphaned kids or whatever.
he
But one
does,
of the
yes.
Wolverines, this one's issue 3 that I started reading right before the world shut down, and it just started back up. This one is only issue 3, but I've actually really enjoyed it. So if you see that one, I recommend getting that one.
I'll go to my
Um,
local comic shop. Shout out to
yeah.
Captain Comics in Boise, Idaho. They are dope. So that I think I should be able to find that.
And I got to do a shout out to Epic Comics in Orlando. They are also dope.
We
But yeah, I'll send you a picture of that one too. But I really like that one so far because in the comic book guy he recommended, because I was reading Old Man Logan and then Dead Man Logan.
Mhm.
So when that ended, I went to pick up my comics one day and he just was like, "Oh, I threw that in there. I think you're gonna like it." And he was correct. Anything he recommends, I tend to really like.
Yeah, if you go to your comic shop and he's like, "Hey, this one's gonna be a good one," I tend to believe them because they're around it all day. So I'm like, "Shit, yeah, okay, let's see what it's about." And I'll read any comic too. I mean, it doesn't even have to be superheroes. I know my wife at one point was reading Saga. I don't know if you're ever familiar with Saga, but it's kind of like this weird space romance type thing, and
Huh.
so it's
Not
weird. It's
familiar.
a weird story, but it wasn't bad. It's like one of the bad guys or whatever has a TV for a head, and it was just kind of bizarre. I don't know how to describe it, but it wasn't
Yeah.
bad. And so I'll read anything pretty much. I just immerse myself. I'd rather read those graphic novels. Speaking of which, I forgot to send you The Dark Knight Returns and Flashpoint
Oh,
comic.
Flashpoint. Well, I
Oh,
have I'm trying to read all the boys ones. I haven't even started that yet, but
I
I want
honestly
to
have to.
read a bunch of those before season two.
We have what,
But
September 4th, I think, right?
yeah, that's only like a month away. It's August
God, we're in
tomorrow.
August tomorrow. Oof.
Yeah, but no, my favorite comic right now is actually Oblivion Song by Robert Kirkman. That's really good. I haven't read the new one. I just got that, and the new one's pretty thick because he took a hiatus intentionally. Like I
Yeah.
was told, like you're not getting a book until July, and then all the comics just happened to shut down. So we got a nice
Surprise.
new thick one, but that one's really good. He started that maybe a year before Walking Dead ended.
What's
So it
that
was
about then?
nice. Oblivion Song is about so there's like this group of scientists and they're working on something, and then I'll try to explain this without ruining things, and then they ended up taking the whole city that they lived in and putting it into another dimension, but it's kind of like Stranger Things when you're in the upside down. So there's like
Okay.
these monsters there, and so a lot of people like died and it was terrible because all of a sudden there's these huge like alien looking monsters, and then they managed to get some of these people out of Oblivion Song and back in I say Philadelphia or something, I don't remember. But the one guy keeps going back to find more people that are missing because he was one of the scientists and he feels responsible. But then there's just so much more to it. But that's the basic premise when the show or when the comic starts. And then it's like you get these like cliffhangers and you're like, I did not see this coming.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's really, really well done. And I've heard that Robert Kirkman's already talking to somebody about turning it into a TV show. And this was one my comic book guy. He's like, oh, you like Robert Kirkman, you should definitely read this. And he has actually like met him in person right around when the comic was coming out. So
Right.
he got like some firsthand kind of knowledge. I think it was
Oh,
at New
hell yeah.
York Comic Con. So I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I'm looking forward to this possibly being a show. It'll be really cool. Should have grabbed that comic. I almost did to show it to you. I'll do it
I'll check
on.
that out.
So you
It's
should
gonna be a
read some of
TV
those,
show.
and we can talk about that.
Yeah, if it's gonna be a TV show, I'm all aboard because nowadays everything's gonna be a TV show, whether or not, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
what, you got a really good comic idea? Adapt it. Why isn't this already on TV? Or AMC is just gonna
Right.
ruin it and destroy everything that you love, like they kind of did The Walking Dead for me. But I
Yeah.
hopefully it sounds like a
I'm
good
still a
premise. I'll
season
probably
behind
check.
on that.
I honestly gave up like after the Negan
Yeah, it's
introduction. I was just
wonderful.
kind of like, all right, that's it. I'm out.
Well, they introduced him so well in the comics. Like I was so
Yeah.
excited, and then when they cast Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I was even more excited.
Yeah.
But I haven't watched the last season of that. And I heard that they were almost done filming the Rick Grimes movie, and
Oh, I
then
forgot
this
there's a
all
movie
happened. So I
coming
don't
out
know.
too.
Yeah. So eventually, I'll wait till Walking Dead's on AMC to catch up. But I gave up on Fear a while ago too.
Oh God, I forgot that was even a thing because I watched I didn't even finish the first season of Fear. I was just kind of like, yeah, I'd love to see how the virus started, and so it was pretty interesting. Like, yeah,
Hmm.
oh shit, it's pretty much like 2020 parallels. People are just like, yeah, oh, yeah, whatever kind of deal, not taking it seriously, and then they start shutting, quarantining everything, and the next, everyone's infected kind of deal. And then after that, for
Yeah.
me, it just didn't do anything. I guess the characters are kind of meh. I don't really connect
Yeah.
with them. I don't really care about them. Walking Dead also kind of became like, okay, here's a big bad guy. How do we defeat said big bad guy? Okay. And then they pulled that whole like stunt where they're like, oh, who do we kill? Who do we kill? And it's like, well, obviously in the comics, spoilers if you haven't read it, but fucking Glenn gets his head bashed
Right.
in. And that's what I stuck around for. I was like, I know it. They got to do this. They got to do it. But I had that doubt in my mind after they had Glenn hide underneath the damn dumpster that one episode.
I knew he was still alive, so they could bring him back to kill him.
Yeah.
That was my theory. Yeah.
And I felt like them doing that almost cheapened his death maybe a little bit in a round. I don't, to me, I guess personally, I guess I'm more picky when it comes to that kind of stuff, but not to be that guy who's like the source material. But it was, yeah. And then I forgot Rick died. Did he actually die?
Did I never found? No, I don't think he's dead.
Well, I mean, he has a movie coming out, so surprise, he's not actually dead. He has a movie coming out. I hope
so. There is a. Yeah, I don't think it's a prequel. No, I don't want to. Again, I feel like spoilers, warning. You didn't see him actually die, and they never found his body in the show.
Ooh,
so that's
even if he did die, they always come back.
Right, yeah. They never found zombie Rick or anything. But he was disappeared near water, so he could have been washed away. But no.
Boy.
But the movie is supposed to answer all those questions, but it just, I don't know. There's some characters that they just killed, and it was just like,
why?
I know there was almost like they were trying to do Game of Thrones, where Game of Thrones could kill anybody at any moment, and you were always surprised. But it was like with Walking Dead, I'd be like, come on, really? Yeah, it's like, yeah, and then they needed those people to keep everybody watching.
Well, it's like, yeah, they what they were doing so well, they kind of strayed away from, and then it became about like, oh, is he dead? Is she dead? I don't know. Oh, we just kill him just to kill him, and it's like, okay, I feel nothing about this death at this point, just because you're killing people just to kill people, I guess. But maybe Rick he washed away. He's on the island with Tom Hanks. It's not really Wilson that Tom Hanks is talking to. It's Rick Grimes, and they secretly get off the island together and cast away.
You haven't seen the episode where he died, then?
I haven't. I knew he died. Okay. I don't care about spoilers. I'm not really typically one to care about spoilers, except for Star Wars. Oh man, a little background on that. So I was deployed to. I was in Qatar when the Force Awakens came out, and I waited 8 hours like on the base movie theater for this whole base. There was no like buy your tickets online in advance because you're in the middle of the desert. They didn't do that. So I waited with my friend for 8 hours in line to see the Force Awakens. I would have seen it somehow like 10 hours before the US kind of deal. My friend, I don't know how he got the spoilers, but he texts as I'm going in the theater, Han Solo dies. And it was in a group chat, and I was just like, is this guy fucking kidding me right now? I have never been so mad. He was like, I didn't think you cared. I was like, I specifically told everybody the only spoilers I cared about were Star Wars spoilers, because I kind of figured Han Solo was going to bite the dust eventually.
But it still cheapens that scene. Because I knew too. My father-in-law told me, and I was so upset because he also told me about Ned Stark. I'm like, I had like one episode left of Game of Thrones with him in it, and so it's like now anytime a movie comes up that I haven't seen that he has, I instantly go la 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 la, because when that scene came up, I wasn't like invested in it. I was just like waiting for it to happen.
That's kind of how I felt. I was sitting there and I was like, oh, this got to be it. Tension on the bridge. Of course, I know what I have to do, and I was like, yeah, here we go. All right, fine. Right. And it happened. I was like, yeah, it still kind of hit me, but at the same time, it was like. Well, I knew he was going to die, so I was just waiting for it the whole movie at this point. It's bullshit. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those Walking Dead episodes. I gave up right after Glenn died. I pretty much just like they imprisoned Negan, I guess. Was it that point? I don't know. I knew they imprisoned Negan. Maybe it's because I knew from the comics they kind of did whatever they did. And I haven't seen Rick die, and I probably don't care to watch it at all. Because I don't really care about like Norman Reedus' character at this point. Like, no offense to him, but he kind of became like boring as well. Carol was a badass, but then even she became like whatever. I just didn't care about the characters.
Yeah. No, I get it. They did kind of cheapen a lot, and they kept bringing in new characters, but we weren't really invested in them, and they kind of expected us to be invested in them right away. And then Maggie got all weird, and I don't know.
Yeah, I knew she was in it. Like, I was kind of invested because like Glenn and them were gonna have a baby, but at the same time, I was like, all right, I kind of figured. Yeah, and then it also comes out that like, hey, this person's leaving this season of Walking Dead, and it's like,
right,
well,
you started to find
this person's gonna die then.
Well, and that was the thing, though, is they kept trying to find out different ways to kind of make it so that not everybody did die. So,
Yeah,
and like what was it? The one guy like chose to leave and just go off and do his own thing
that's true.
and whatnot, and then he ended up on Fear. But so they did try to do different things
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. What's his name? Morgan.
Morgan,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
was gonna say Lenny, but I think Lenny is his actual name.
Oh,
But
fuck,
yeah.
I gotta chug a PBR tomorrow. God, the Celtics lost by 7. He had the Bucks winning by 6. I had the Celtics winning by 5. I have to chug a PBR shotgun. It's not just a chug; it's a shotgun, and I haven't shotgun a beer in God knows how long. Do I even remember how to shotgun a beer? We'll see. So if anybody's
You can
watching our
Google it.
page, you're gonna see me painfully shotgun a PBR tomorrow. As a side note, it's gonna be awful. Ugh. I thought cheap beer Thursdays was a bad thing. Ugh.
Yeah. Cheap Beer Thursday is the worst thing ever.
I
We're
know.
supposed to be supporting local breweries. We should only be drinking craft beer.
Exactly. I opened up this one from Iowa, the Iowa Project, because I got the crowlers. So like, or yeah, crowlers the cheap way. Look, I'm doing it for the environment. So I guess I'm trying to. It's a sour. I didn't realize what it was, but as I poured it, it's a sour. It's actually really good. I'm surprised. I didn't know what to
Nice.
expect coming out of Iowa, so I'm pleasantly surprised. 'Cause having driven through that miserable state, there's literally nothing but cornfields. So I was
Wasn't
very skeptical.
Toppling Goliath in Iowa?
It might be.
I think they're Iowa, and
Don't
their beer
actually
is
know.
amazing. I'm gonna
I've
look it up real quick. Now
never
I'm
heard.
curious.
I've personally never heard of any beers coming out of Iowa. Personally, I mean Midwest beers. Another place that surprised me is I had some friends. They got me some beers from Omaha, Nebraska, and Lincoln, Nebraska. They actually brew some pretty good stuff. They did
Hmm.
send me like habanero beer, which I'm not about spicy beers,
Ooh,
so I
I
might
love
have to
spicy
send that
beers.
one to you.
I will
I
take it.
can't do spicy beers. I'll always remember when I was at the Maui Brewing Company, and the guy was like, "This beer is like one of my favorites right here." And I tasted it, and I thought I like swallowed a pepper, and I thought I was gonna fucking die. It was miserable. It was the worst thing on earth.
When I first had the Sculpin that had like habaneros, or I think it was habaneros. Like I like looked it up to make sure I wasn't having an allergic reaction because my lips were tingling so bad. But then you do the cuvee with their like mango IPA and you mix
Mm,
it, and then that like cuts the spice perfectly.
nope.
So that was really good. But yeah, Toppling Goliath is Iowa,
Oh,
and they got King Sue and Pseudo Sue, and they make some great beer. So
I've never
Iowa
actually
can make
heard-
good beer.
had
You've
them.
never had Toppling Goliath?
I've never had them at all. No.
Oh wow. Well, the first one I ever had was actually from Tavor. It's actually behind me because it's a trophy beer for me. That's my first one because I had read about it that it was like up there, like right behind like
Mhm.
Pliny kind of thing. And then when
Really?
it came in Tavor, I instantly got it. And then now we have it all over the place down here. So I think
Oh,
they're brewing it here as well. But King Sue's even better. Super like citra hops. It's delicious. If you should see if you can find it in Idaho. I forgot where you lived for a
I
second.
can. I
And if
well,
you can't, I will definitely send you some.
I'll tell
Because
you
that beer
straight
is
up. I
amazing.
don't get like anything from the outside. Honest to God, sometimes it feels like I'm in jail. I'll go to the supermarket or grocery store or whatever we want to call it. I'll go there and they sell beer there. I'll go to my craft beer stores, but like in Boise, they only sell like craft beer that's local to the area there. So I'll go to the grocery store and I'm like, okay, cool. You have like your Bush, your Sam Adams, your Keystone, your Budweisers, your PBR, and then you've got like the whole local section. But Idaho really doesn't bring outside beers in. The couple bottle
Mm.
shops that I go to, they have like Seattle, so you'll get E9 from Tacoma, Washington, and then we get Vermont Brewing and Pelican Brewing,
Oh,
and then we get
okay.
like Melvin Brewing out of Jackson, Wyoming. So we have Melvin Brewing as well, but pretty much it's like exclusive to Wyoming, Oregon, Nevada, maybe California, and then obviously
Those
Idaho.
aren't too bad.
So
Yeah,
no, I
it
mean,
looks
but
like you don't get it in Idaho.
we get nothing. I don't get shipyard here. I saw a thing today. What I sent you guys to the group chat is they're already prepping shipyard to be sent to like grocery stores and everything like that. And I was like, oh my god, it's ship the
So you don't
pumpkin.
have any yet.
I don't
And they're
have. I don't
coming
get shipyard.
on what, August 13th?
August 13th. So I've got two Finder IPAs from Shipyard. I just don't have. They don't sell Shipyard at all, even in bottles here. They sell Sam Adams. but outside of Sam Adams, they don't sell Shipyard at all. You get Blue Moon, Sam Adams, are like your craftier type big
Well, Blue
distributors.
Moon's Coors, though. That's
Yeah, and that's from
craft beer at
Colorado.
all.
So, but yeah,
Well,
you
we actually used to have a Shipyard brewery here, like right before the craft beer kind of like exploded. We had
yeah.
an amazing little restaurant that was Shipyard, and they brewed Shipyard beer there. And I remember having a Pumpkinhead on draft, and right before everything took off, they shut down. I was like, what a shitty time to shut down.
See,
But they
you
had a
got
mug club and everything.
yeah. So they had one of those like 20 minutes from my house. It's like a brew pub for Shipyard. And if the one thing is I want to get my hands on to send to you guys from Shipyard, so of course you got your Pumpkinhead, but they make like this 13% pumpkin beer that you can buy in 4 packs. They like make a smashed blueberry, which is a porter made with like Maine blueberries. That one's really, really good. And then they make this I forget the name now. It's smashed pumpkin. That's what it is. The smashed
Okay, I
pumpkin.
think I've had that before.
Yeah, it's like I want to say it's 10 to 12% maybe, but that one is really good. But they have a lot of strong pumpkin taste. Whereas the Pumpkinhead that I love it for the nostalgia factor, but I feel like they've changed their recipe a little bit. So unless you go and get it from
So
the brewery,
sweet. Yeah.
yeah, unless you get it like from the brewery off the tap, it tastes wicked good that way. But in a bottle, something about it has changed, I feel like anyways.
Well, I don't know if that's kind of what I wondered, if it's changed or if our palates have just changed. Because
Oh
it's like when
yeah.
I first, started drinking Pumpkinhead, my go-to was Budweiser. So I didn't really, when Sam Adams Oktoberfest
God,
came out, I
so
was like, oh, this is
uncultured.
so good. Yeah, and like I don't even like Sam Adams Oktoberfest anymore. I feel like it's too sweet or malty or I don't know what it is, but I'm not even a fan of it anymore. But so I wonder how much of it is our palate and how much of it is the recipe. But we get a really good one from Tampa Bay Brewing Company does Gourd's Gone Wild, I think is that one.
Oh,
That the one.
that's
I
gonna
think
be me
that
and
one.
the pumpkin patch.
So I'm gonna definitely have to get you one of those and send that your way because I don't like the ones that are overly pumpkiny, overly nutmeggy,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess I
yeah.
should say. But if they have like a hint of pumpkin and they still taste like actual beer and not like a slushy or a
Well, that's the thing
frappuccino
is
or
I think a
something.
lot of these breweries they've gone overboard with the pumpkin. It's not even pumpkin at that point because like you said, nutmeg. They just like and a little dash of cinnamon and let me just dump the
Right.
entire thing
It's
of nutmeg into this mash and it's like, well, no, because then it's overbearing. I think
yeah.
I'm not really supposed to mention them, but they're the Punking. Their beer's really good from it's Dogfish, isn't it?
Oh no,
I,
Dogfish is pumpkin
oh,
ale.
that's right. I'm thinking it's
Pumpkin is Southern Tier.
that's what it is. Southern Tier. That's right. I gotta mix. I always get
Yeah,
them
that
mixed
one's good.
for some reason because they taste similar to me. But that one is good. It's not overwhelming. But that's kind of how I
Yeah.
am. Is I like the not so overwhelming kind of pumpkin beers versus the I'm gonna punch myself in the face.
Right. Well, New Belgium does a decent one, but they change it every year. The Pumpkick, like one year they added
Oh
cranberry
yeah,
to it. It was like
yeah.
totally different. I feel like this conversation is very premature. We're jumping the gun, man.
We're
Tomorrow's
jumping the
August.
see. I keep seeing all these Oktoberfest beers being distributed, like Sam Adams' Pump
Yeah. Yingling.
Oktoberfest, Yingling. So I keep seeing those, and I'm like, oh my god, is it that time already? Like today is 108 degrees, and I'm like, this is miserable. There's no fall coming here. I don't see a leaf falling off my tree, and it's yeah, God, it is. I feel like I almost wonder if they're distributing sooner because of the pandemic, getting it out there, getting their
I
sales
don't.
up.
I think they do it this early. Everybody says it's earlier and earlier every year, and I think for a little bit it was. But my birthday's on Tuesday, and I've
Oh,
had Pumpkinhead on my birthday and Oktoberfest on my birthday many times. So
that'll
I mean,
be
and that's the only reason I remember because I remember thinking one year like "Happy early birthday to me," and being all excited. Now I'll buy them, but I hold them until the first day of fall. I won't.
yeah.
But the second pumpkin spice lattes come out, I'm fucking first in line at Starbucks for that
Oh
shit. I
God,
love that shit.
that's a whole. Actually, no joke. I got a pumpkin spice latte this morning. I pulled up to our little like coffee shack here. I haven't, and I was like, I'm feeling pretty basic today. Let me get that pumpkin spice latte. She looked at me. I was like, pumpkin spice latte. Sprinkle it. Let's go. And I was like, I don't care if it's July 31st. I want a pumpkin spice latte. And so I had one
Nice.
today. But yeah, like I saw an article today. It was like Starbucks is bringing back their PSL. And it's like, well, no shit. That's like their biggest selling coffee, I guess, or latte or whatever. Of course, they're bringing
Yeah.
back the PSL. Duh.
Yeah, well, they
So
usually release it around end of August,
yeah,
like August 28th to September 1st
like
or whatever.
Labor Day weekend time frame, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. But they never know. You'll ask them, and like the employees know, like I don't think they tell them.
I
And then
don't
all of a sudden
either.
it's like, because I would ask employees, and they would, I think it comes out in October. Okay, you're wrong. It does not come out in October.
Listen here, let
Don't
me tell
guess
you why it's
unless you
not
know.
October, and let me tell
Right.
you why it's actually Monday, and you should probably know this, you uncultured swine.
Exactly.
I will say I would always go to like the Target when I lived in Florida. So like the Starbucks we had was
Mhm.
down the road in Target, and I'd always be in there and be like, "Hey, you got that pumpkin spice latte yet?" And they're like,
Right.
"Not
Because they
yet."
get it before they're allowed.
Yeah,
But
and I was
sometimes they'll
like,
still
"Come
do
on,
it.
when's it
Yeah.
coming? I know you're gonna get the goods. Where's it coming?"
Right. No, Josh, one time, my husband, we were at a Starbucks and it was like a week before they were releasing it. And he's one of those that like, he'll smooth talk people into stuff. That's how he got me to marry him. But he's like, I know you got that pumpkin spice back there. Can she get some of that pumpkin spice? He somehow managed to get me a latte and a frappuccino.
What the
He comes out
hell?
with both. I'm like, holy shit.
I'm gonna
So
need
that
that
was
man to be
a
like my
fun.
hype man everywhere I go. It's like, hey, okay, you said no to me, but what about him?
Right.
It's like,
He just
yeah, say no to that.
he just kept because he's just like nice about it and he just kept talking and yeah, they just okay, but don't tell anybody.
It's like, don't
Next thing
worry.
I know, I'm
Secret
posting it on
safe with
Facebook,
me.
double fisting pumpkin coffee. Yeah,
You're like secret safe with me as you're like taking pictures of you posed up. Like,
right. People are like, "Where did you get that?" I don't know. It
so
just
like
appeared.
it just I figured out the concoction. I brought my own ingredients, and they decided to make it for me. It's the craziest thing. I don't even know how it happened.
I just said pumpkin spice latte in the mirror 3 times, and a white girl appeared and handed them to me.
No, actually, if you say that 3 times, I actually appear in my scarf, and I'm in a pumpkin patch, and I hand you through the mirror a pumpkin beer or a pumpkin latte.
Oh god.
That's my promo. We're doing promo for Hops News in October, and I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna like make a fake pumpkin patch with pumpkin beers, and I'm gonna be laid out in my scarf and my North Face. I don't actually own a scarf and a North. I do, but they're my wife's, so I might be. Don't think I actually own a scarf and a North Face. They're my wife's. I'm gonna be taking them for this for the cause, but I'm going all out for this. But
I think you're gonna
anyways.
do it way better than I even own a North Face, so I don't even think we have one in this house.
Well, I mean,
I have
you don't need them in
scarves.
Florida.
No. And my
But
scarves are like, I think the only scarf I ever wear in October has Jack Skellington on it, and it's
made
super
out of like
lightweight.
the thinnest piece of
Like,
cotton you'll ever
yeah,
find.
that I bought at Disney World.
Speaking of thin, Marvel, we were talking about how we didn't really like the Wolverine comic. This leads me to think worst Marvel cinematic character. I was thinking today, so the Russo brothers recently came out and said a little bit of comic book news. Swoop it in, breaking news. They said that they would come back and direct if they got to do like Secret Wars or something like that. And I was like, okay, Secret Wars, that'd be pretty badass. But then I was thinking, I was like, how would we do this? And then it got me thinking, I was like, who is the worst Marvel Cinematic character or TV or something like that? And so I'm interested to hear. I already kind of know, but who, in your opinion, is the worst Marvel character?
Of the characters that are related to the
Well,
MCU, it's got to be
yes.
Iron Fist. It's Danny Rand. He just
The Iron Fist, the
some of
immortal Iron.
these, yes, the immortal, and he has to tell everybody, "I am the immortal Iron Fist." Are you though? Because you can die. The Iron Fist is immortal, but you are not immortal.
Yeah.
But he has to say that, and every time he says it, it sounds so cheesy. But just I feel like they didn't develop his character very well early on. He kind of just shows up and he's like, "Hey guys, I'm Danny. Yeah, I'm here now. I can take over." And they're just like, "No." It's just absolutely absurd. And some of these characters that we have such high expectations for the MCU, it's like Chris Evans seems like he was bred to play Captain America. I mean, Chris Hemsworth, like he's Thor. I mean, Tony Stark. Yeah,
You don't
could
look
anybody
at
else play Tony
and
Stark?
listen to him talk without just being like, yeah, this man literally is Tony Stark,
Right.
without a doubt.
And Tom Holland now too. I mean, he's hands down the best Spider-Man.
He
I mean,
is.
I know I fell in love with Marvel because of Tobey Maguire, but dude, Tom
Well,
Holland.
Tobey
I mean,
Maguire true. But he was 45 years old and he was playing Spider-Man. Like, come on.
And, like Tom Holland actually looks 15, so
Yeah.
it helps. Well,
Does.
and he's a gymnast, so that helps tremendously as well. I mean, he's flipping all over the place.
I'll be honest though, I liked Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, but I didn't like him as Peter Parker. And then I liked Tobey Maguire kind of as Peter Parker, even through his emo phase. I even loved Tobey Maguire through his emo phase.
The emo phase was terrible.
But Tom Holland like brings the
of
best of both. Yeah, he's walking like, "Hey, how you doing?" And you're like, "Oh no,
the hair, the greasy. I just wanted to comb it out of his face.
Wash your hair, child. Okay."
Yes.
He literally, that's when he looked like he was that 45-year-old man trying to like go to the scene concerts, and he's like trying to blend in with the crowd. And you're like, dude, no, this is no, right. This just isn't happening for you. Please stop, please. Whose dad is this?
Whose dad is this?
Someone come.
Poor dad. Do you remember they were all like ready to start filming the 4th movie? Like he was on some Tonight Show or something, and then obviously it got canned, and I like felt like terrible for him because he was so excited to play Spidey again.
And you like never saw him again, kind of after. You saw him in, like Tropic Thunder. If anybody's ever seen that, he like pops up in like the fake movie credit deals. But other than that, it's like you don't really. Oh no, he did this god awful movie once with Jake Gyllenhaal. Like he was a soldier coming back with PTSD and shit like that, and it was not a good movie. And ever since that, he just kind of like disappeared. But I do remember there was supposed to be a 4th Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie that never happened. Yeah. And now Sam Raimi's going to direct Doctor Strange, which is kind of like, okay, he's doing the Multiverse of Madness. It was supposed to be some other director, but he left because they wouldn't let him do his thing or something like this. And now Sam Raimi's going to come in and direct Doctor Strange, the next one.
Oh, that'd be cool. But yeah, so I think Iron Fist, honestly, even if you include, I wouldn't include Fantastic Four or maybe the first Hulk, but even like all the X-Men stuff, I don't like his name's not Flynn Rider. It's Finn something.
Oh, Finn something, because he was in Game of Thrones
Finn
too.
Jones.
Yeah,
he was in Game of Thrones. But yeah, I liked him in Game of Thrones. I have nothing against him personally. I just don't think he was right for the part. I feel like he's a little too cheesebally. It did get better in season 2, but I just still felt like there wasn't enough groundwork laid out, and I just didn't like the story either. The only things I liked were the crossovers, like when we saw Claire and like when we saw the attorney.
The Defenders, and like yeah. Again, I'm a sucker for the crossovers. It's like, oh my god, it's Matt Murdock or it's Foggy Nelson. Yeah.
Right. And like Luke Cage called him out too. He called out Iron Fist for being ridiculous.
It's like, dude, what do you do? Mm-hmm. But I also feel like that at least the first season was a product of like they rushed it through. Because I remember hearing something like he only had 3 or 4 weeks to really practice martial arts before they started filming. And then it was just rushed the whole way through, I guess. So I kind of felt bad for him in that because he was wicked excited. He was stoked. I mean, as you would be, you're going to be in the Marvel universe. And then season 2, I will say that season 2 was good, but I think they focused too much on Colleen. Like by the end of it, he's not even Iron Fist anymore. She kind of is,
but he still is too.
Because he got the gauntlets or the guns or whatever the hell
both his hands are like lit up. But the fight scenes though were actually really good. That was like one of the good parts about both seasons was the fight scenes were all well done, and it was fun to see. It was more like Arrow where they more so knew what they were doing. They weren't just swinging punches. Yeah. But I have to say, of both seasons, the best scene of both of those seasons was when they finally get Joy back after she was kidnapped.
Yep.
And her brother Ward had the gun that he had bought from the dude from Luke Cage in a van down by the river. And she's like, where did you get those guns? And he goes, from a man down by the river, or in a van down by the river. I was like,
where the hell did you get these guns?
Right. From a guy in a van. And he even said it like that. And she just kind of looked at him. And he was telling the truth. And that was the best scene of the entire 2 seasons.
There was the fight choreography in season 1 was awful.
Very
you
well.
Could clearly tell.
I thought it was the most enjoyable part of that season. So I felt like the storyline was always just awful. And then they would have the fight scenes. And it was like, and he wasn't acting anymore. He was still acting, but he wasn't doing that ridiculous dialogue and that voice, and he was just too almost innocent.
Right.
But I felt like, well, have you read any of the Iron Fist comics? Because I have
I
not.
honestly haven't. I haven't, and it's piqued my interest because I'm like I said earlier, yeah. If I hear or watch something I like, then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna dive in. I need to know more. But with Iron Fist, I was kind of like, nah. Do they sell Iron Fist comics? Like, I've never seen one personally. I don't know.
No, they do. Yeah.
I haven't seen one, and I just honestly haven't seen an Iron Fist comic at all.
Right. No, I will say if they were to come out with a season 3, which I don't know if they're doing any of the Netflix stuff again, I hope they do pick some of that up because I feel like they have a lot of potential. I would still watch season 3. However, in Humans, we're just pretending that didn't happen. I did not finish it. I think I watched 3 episodes and I was like, I can't.
One. Or no.
Yeah, I couldn't. Did they even finish airing all the episodes?
No,
I felt
they
like
didn't. I'm sorry. I watched half of one episode. The first episode I watched like half of, and Ramsey Bolton there. Where I was just like, "This is awful." Like,
right?
What
Are we
am I watching?
Right. We all hate Ramsey Bolton, so I assumed he was going to be evil. But then I was like, "Oh, he's evil. Oh no, he's a victim. Oh no, he's evil." And I think that's where they went wrong. But we're just pretending that didn't happen. And so is the MCU.
At this point, like, they're just gonna put New Mutants out just to put New Mutants out, kind of deal, and it's that doesn't look any better because New Mutants supposed to come out like 3 years ago too, but they're just like Inhumans, New Mutants. They just let's quietly pretend they don't exist. I do remember they actually were like. They did like an IMAX, I think, premiere for the first episode of Inhumans, and everybody was just like, "This is the biggest piece of trash I've ever seen in my life. Why are we here right now?" And people were so mad, and then they were like, "Oh, maybe this isn't what we should be doing." So I think they quietly aired the rest of them, and then just moved on as quickly as fucking possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I don't know how that got by so many people. I don't know.
I think they were just like, yeah, this is gonna be great, but then like Medusa's hair, the whole thing was bad. Like the costumes look so cheap, and it's you guys really spent time on this? Like, oh,
right,
it was bad.
Yeah, well, that's embarrassing. But they do a lot of Inhumans and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. still, so because we were supposed to get an Inhumans movie, and then I guess they scratched that and did the show. But I don't know if they'll go back to that.
They'll probably never. That's one property I don't think they'll probably ever touch. In the near, like, I know there's some like Fantastic Four we keep rebooting. That's something that obviously is a money maker. I think they can do the Fantastic Four right. They just haven't. Now that they finally have it in Marvel, yeah, and now that they have it in Marvel, like let's get this done right finally because the Fantastic Four is awesome. And so Inhumans though, it's just like. So they are from outer space, the moon or something like that, and they just kind of come.
It's like Transformers. They're on the dark side of the moon.
Oh God, that movie.
All right, so my least favorite is Iron Fist, other than Inhuman. So what's your least favorite?
Oh, it's Jessica Jones, and I'm going to get for the people who might listen to this, if they make it this far, I'm going to get so many like hate, whatever. It's Jessica Jones. It's not Kristen Ritter, although I feel like her acting just kind of left a lot to be desired as well. It was more of like season 1 I loved it only because of David Tennant. I have such a man crush on him, and he played Kilgrave phenomenally. Yeah, he was Jessica. Like that was great. I think where it really fell apart. It's still here. I think where it really fell apart was like, okay, season 2. It's kind of more the same. Only in season 1, Jessica had she was an alcoholic for more or less, all fucked up. In season 2, they kind of
too.
Yeah, she is. But then like they added Trish, where Trish is now getting a drug addiction because she got like her ex-boyfriend there, like his power,
steroids thing.
Yeah. So then she also became addicted, and it's a lot of the tropes they use in season 2. I think is why I didn't like it so much, and so. To me, she seems so whiny at times too, and it's like I'm not here for it. I didn't really care. It was almost as bad as Danny Rand telling everybody that he's the immortal Iron Fist, which I'd rather. She was just like, I'm too fucked up.
Yeah, I didn't like the whole Trish story. Well, yeah. I think what I liked about her was that she didn't want to. It was almost like Wolverine. She didn't want to be the hero, but she couldn't help but try to do good.
Yeah,
and I also liked it. it was similar to Luke Cage, where they had the little tie-ins to the Avengers. Like there was somebody who, I forget exactly. It's been so long since I watched it, where they hired her as the detective, but they wanted to kill her because she was a super powered person. I forget what they called them. Was it supers? They had a specific name in there.
Yeah,
and their daughter, their son, died during the incident, which the incident is the first Avengers movie. Yep. So I like that they were kind of tying that in, similar to like Luke Cage with the weapons, or like, oh, this is alien technology.
Yeah, they did that even in Daredevil. They even kind of tied in like the incident, because you'd always see like newspaper clippings and things like that,
right?
At the
they do
office.
a lot in that one.
Yeah, I liked that a lot, but they just kind of I will say this. She was struggling. She had a traumatic past with Kilgrave, so then she kind of overcame that, and that was something that I liked in the first season. Whereas season 2, it's like, oh, she's right back to kind of where she was. For what reason? She kind of conquered those, I thought, last season.
No, she was. She ended up killing Kilgrave.
Yeah,
so I feel like she was dealing with that, though, because it's like you're used to seeing the hero at the end, unless it's Deadpool, where they end up not killing the bad guy. They let the bad guy end up being his own demise or putting him in jail. And so she knew that Kilgrave had to be killed, and she pulled the trigger. And I think that's what she was dealing with, even though she knew it needed to be done. She was dealing with the fact that she took a human life and all the other lives that she couldn't save that he did take. But I mean, just loved hearing Jessica.
Jessica, he's such a good actor too. And like, I'll watch pretty much anything that he's in. He was in Castle Church, which is a BBC production. That was a pretty good show. He was like a detective in that. And then, of course, he was in Harry Potter very briefly, which, shout out to my boy, Harry Potter. It's his 40th birthday.
His birthday.
It is. I was watching Prisoner of Azkaban today. But yeah, it's something about Jessica Jones. But I will say I'd rather Jessica Jones than The Defenders. Like, The Defenders, the actual TV show of The Defenders was awful, I felt. But
parts that were fun.
Parts were good, but it kind of got, like, too... repetitive, I guess. So
right, the story wasn't the best.
I will say though, I hope that somehow, if you're only gonna pull everybody but Iron Fist into the MCU again, once this Netflix deal expires, leave Iron Fist out. He can take a breather for a few millennia. I wouldn't mind seeing Jessica Jones somehow play in, because I liked her play off with Luke Cage, because I really liked Luke Cage. He was one of my favorites too. Luke Cage and Daredevil were my top 2 shows that were on Netflix. And so I really enjoyed him. So I'd like to see Daredevil, and then if I can bring the others in, I would bring them in, just leave Iron Fist away. And
the Punisher, I'd love to see him too.
Yeah, I'm actually really sad, because John Bernthal in The Punisher, he was amazing. I grew up, I watched what's his name? Thomas Jane. He was like the Punisher growing up, because he played in that movie where they switched actors, did everything they did. So then John Bernthal came, and I thought like the way they did season 1 of The Punisher was fucking amazing. They like the last end of the season where he's just scraping his face down the glass, like that shit was brutal. It's crazy. But he's always yelling, doing his deep voice yelling thing, because that's just what John Bernthal does. Rick, you can't protect Rick. So you have that, but my favorite would be Daredevil and the Punisher in the MCU, like if we're talking TV shows. But my overall MCU favorite is definitely Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr. got me into Iron Man, and my least favorite is Jessica Jones. Sorry, don't hate me, everybody.
My least definitely Iron. I don't know who my favorite would be. I want to say probably Thor.
Ooh.
Because I even enjoyed Dark World. It was much better than Iron Man 2 and 3. But yeah, I would say Thor, because I get it. Iron Man brought all of us into this universe and introduced us to characters that are lesser known. But we always knew who Thor was. I think the first time I learned about Thor was Adventures in Babysitting. But I remember I got to see the first Thor movie a few days early because a friend of mine worked for
Yep.
CW and he got tickets. So we actually drove over to Tampa to go see it like literally like 3 days early. And we couldn't even sit together because the theater was so crowded. We all had to sit by ourselves. But we all walked out of the theater going, "Who dare mess with the son of Odin?" And it's just such a fun character. And I love how he's developed. Even though he's 900 years old in the past,
He's got less Shakespearean
10
and less blonde eyebrows.
Well, and they say he's actually one of the things that Chris Hemsworth likes is that Thor has become more like himself. So, because he's more of like a goofball. Obviously, in Endgame, though, I know a lot of people who suffer with depression really liked how they portrayed his character because he was so sad and had like given up on himself, and then was so excited when the Mjolnir still came to him, and he was still worthy. So I know a lot of people. Yeah, that was such like I'm still worthy. But I think I would say that Thor is my favorite.
I do love Thor, and like he got a bad shake, I feel like. And so in the first movie, I really liked. I still quote like, "This is good. I'll have another."
Oh,
and
absolutely.
so I really like Thor in that. And then the Dark World, I obviously didn't care for as much. It was I liked Christopher Eccleston, and I liked Natalie Portman, and I liked Chris Hemsworth. But outside of that, there was no real plot to the movie, I felt like. And then, but like once Ragnarok, that really got him they reignited the character there. And now, of course, you're getting, Love and Thunder, where Natalie Portman's going to be Lady Thor. So I'm pretty excited for that. And Chris Hemsworth, I think he's a good actor. I saw him in Extraction. If you haven't watched Extraction on Netflix, he's good in that. And then Bad Times at the El Royale, he's good in. He's generally a good actor, so he can do it. So I liked him. I like Captain America, but Captain America is always like the Boy Scout to me, and I'm always like, fuck rules, like Iron Man kind of deal. I guess I just have a soft spot for billionaires who can just become superheroes because I love Batman too, but
that's true. And Iron Man is the Batman of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, that is, yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Captain America, though, I loved his evolution. Like, what I would love to see is a sitcom of him and Peggy in the future / past, where she now has the Captain America that says, "Are you shitting me? That is America's ass." Like, I want to see Peggy and that Cap together.
I do.
So he has gotten a little bit snarky, living in the 2010s for years.
Yeah, I know.
So
I can do this all day.
Yeah. I know.
That's how I feel after time. It's like, let's just get this over with. So I would too. I wonder. I know they're doing the What If series, so I wonder if they're gonna have something. I guess it won't be a What If. I would like to see maybe a comic book.
Are they doing that on
Disney Plus?
They're doing it on. Okay.
So you're gonna get like a bunch of
about all these because we haven't been hearing about them.
Well, Mandalorian, to my knowledge, not to keep bouncing around back and forth, but Mandalorian is releasing in the fall time still because they filmed it already, and they have the benefit of doing everything in a studio, and so they have that. And I think they're already working on season 3 somehow. I'm not entirely sure if they're started season 3 yet, but I know Mandalorian's going to be coming out, and then I think What If series is I want to say that's a cartoon kind of deal because Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, Falcon and Winter Soldier. They stopped filming the week the NBA got stopped, and I remember thinking, "Oh shit, this is real." Yeah, I don't know, but I think they've done some filming for Loki and WandaVision. I believe they had done some filming, but I don't know. Maybe we'll have to do an episode on everything Disney Plus one day.
We will. I think so. To kind of wrap it up, I think next week we are going to probably do the order you should watch the Marvel Cinematic Universe. One of our friends, Corey, there asked us. He kind of wants to be educated on it, and good topic, right? We kind of bounced around, talked about it today. So I think the next episode we're going to talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and what order we should watch it in, because you can watch it in like the way they came out, but then like you also have Captain Marvel's technically the second Avenger because you have
right, she's in the 90s.
So we'll talk about that.
And then you have because then also if you wanted to watch all the shows in chronological order as well, then that's a whole other ball of wax we can talk about next week.
Oh my god! But it's almost one of those like Star Wars things. they say to watch episodes 4, 5, go back, watch 1, 2, 3, and then watch episode 6 to be like, that's how they kind of say. And you
Right.
can watch the sequel trilogy, I guess. I would never watch anything past Force Awakens ever again in my life. Ugh. But
See, there's another episode.
we have plenty of episodes down the pipe. You can find our podcast. You can find on any streaming. If you want to subscribe.
Except Apple, apparently.
Yeah, except Apple. Apple, what is going on in your life, you assholes? Please accept us. I have iPhones. We all have iPhones.
We
Apple
all
is
have
here.
iPhones.
I've bowed down to the Apple overlord long ago. So you can find us on everything but Apple right now. Maybe one day we'll get on Apple. You can find us at Hops Geek News on the Instagrams. Do not have a Twitter yet. Oh, come on, I'm about to be 30 years old. I can only keep up with 2 social medias at a time. But you can also find us on
about
Hops
to be
News.
30.
I'm so old. I'm turning into
I
my
know, you're
30s,
so
man. I gotta get my cane.
Really? Oh, man. Well, at this point, then I should be dead.
Hoppy's past her hill. She's seen the best days behind her. I'm past my prime. My legs, everything's falling apart. Prime is in the past. So we are just here.
The past is in the past. Let it go.
You can also find us, yes, Hops News, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Us two will not really be on Tuesdays because we have other obligations aside from that. But Thursdays, we will definitely be on about 95% of the time, if not 99% of the time. And you can also check us out on YouTube.
Internet.
Yes,
Yes,
pending
on
internet.
the
I've been living in the past. For some reason, my internet's been really janky lately, so seems to be okay at the moment. Idaho. I'm literally in the middle of nowhere. It's awful. I miss the East Coast more than anything. I've been craving Dunkin' Donuts. I'm from New England. I have never lived somewhere without a Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts everywhere. When I was in Rhode Island, I was like, "What is this shit? I need Starbucks." Ugh.
Yeah, I've never lived
over sugar everything.
It's trash coffee. It's trash donuts.
It's
But something about it, I need my iced coffee in the middle of winter. I need it now when it's 108 degrees. So I'm kind of if Dunkin' Donuts ever listens to this, anybody works with Dunkin' Donuts, sponsor us. I will pay you all the money in the world. You can take my children, do whatever you need to do.
I just said, ugh. I don't think they're gonna sponsor us.
I don't care. I will literally do
though,
some dirty things to get some Dunkin' Donuts.
My husband will get like donuts for, if we're having a slumber party or a birthday or something. And he's always like, "Do you want a donut?" And I'm always like, "God, no, unless they have pumpkin." We'll eat their pumpkin donut.
I am also a maple slut. God damn. Oh, maple. Anything maple, anything pumpkin, anything fall.
That's my dad was all about. My dad's like favorite beer when we were in Vermont was a maple beer.
Yeah.
He was
Long
all
Trail.
about that
maple beer.
Ooh, I like Long Trail.
Yeah.
I think I've only had IPAs by them.
They make they make some pretty good maple beers. And then also I know Flannel Friday is coming out from Harpoon. While not maple, that's also I'm all about the flannels. So that's coming out. But
they did Dunkin' Donuts beer, right?
God, they did. Harpoon had the Dunkin' Donuts beer. Again, if anybody sees that, slide in my DMs. I will do anything for Dunkin' Donuts. Please, Jesus. I miss it.
Jesus.
I'm like, I'm one of those. I can't survive. I was going to try to figure out which superhero. I can't think of it. Shout out to Edge Brewing in Idaho and the Iowa Project for sponsoring this episode unofficially. And also
Society in Florida.
Yes, you can like, subscribe, share, find us on YouTube every Wednesdays. We'll be dropping new episodes. So thanks for hanging out with us and cheers.
Absolutely. Cheers.
This has been a Hops News production. You can find Hops News on all your favorite podcasts and social media platforms.